Hello, this fabric is a four-way stretch. Now by that I mean by I can stretch the fabric going that way, that way, that way, and that way. So let me just try and explain. So I'm stretching it that way, I'll explain later. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the strap. I can take it from anywhere really, but normally I like to take things from there. So I'm going to cut this section out, and this is just a sample for a subscriber has asked, so I'm going to cut that out. So I've stitched it, and I was supposed to leave more of a gap up here, but I forgot what I was doing. I should have left a little bit more than this, so that this bit here gets stitched onto your garment. So I've left a hole here. First of all, I did put a stitch line across, and then I thought, no, I'll use a safety pin and turn this in. It's quicker, because if I use a knitting needle, sometimes it just makes holes in it. Now the stitch as well, I recommend you use a small stitch, number 3 on a domestic machine, industrial machine, still number 3. But the smaller the better, but not too small, because it will stretch the fabric. But why we do this is because the fabric is going to stretch anyway, and it's going to pop. So we do it on a smallest stitch so it doesn't pop too badly. I was going to put a string inside it so that to help to turn it, but that's all it is for. So you can stitch a string and put it inside, and then use that to pull it through and then cut it off afterward. So the string, I'd say as small as that will do. So I found a pin. I'm going to attach my pin to it. And then what we did, my mother, when she was a machinist, she's deceased now, she when she had a load of these to do, she'll make them up and then she'll give it to us, show us what to do, and that's what we did. We just inside out. If you use a knitting needle, it just makes holes in it. Thread it through, pull it, and it comes out the other end. Now you see, that didn't take long now, did it? See, did you hear that? They pop. That's why I said you use the smallest stitch that you can. There it is. Yeah, so if I was you, when you stitch this up, give it 2 stitches. Because when this is on your shoulder and stretching, it will pop. Yeah, so that's what you do. At this end now, what I did is I nipped it at an angle, because this is what's going to be sewing, and because it's on a bias, it will go around the corner nice and easy. So let me get a bit of fabric and sew this on it. Now we're going to pretend that this is an armhole. hole, and I'm going to stitch one section on, and then I'm going to flip it so that you can see it, and then stitch the other side. So as you can see, I've pinned it on. So let me flip it over. Now use your imagination. That is the shape of a armhole, and I don't need to make a whole garment to show you the point. So there's this section here, goes over the shoulder. This is the back of the garment, so I pinned it going all the way around. But when it comes to going around, we normally knit, but we're not going to do this on this occasion. What I've done is this top one, I've just stretched it just a little bit. I haven't done it on the straight bits, just on the corner, and there is a reason for it. So anyway, so there it is. So that side, so this is the right side. Now excuse the fact that I've got a different colour on my machine. This is just a sample, so I wasn't, and I'm making curtain at the moment in grey. So let me sew this for you. I forgot to explain because I took it away. I left a little nip here so that I can put this on at the top there, so I can get hold of it. So that's done. Now I'm going to take the pins out. As you can see now, this now curves back on itself. So this is the back, and now we're going to top stitch this side. Right, if you wish you can nip it, but I'm not going to nip it. Right, but I am going to pin it, and I feel that this needs to cut down a little bit, so I'll cut this down and then we'll turn this under. But I suggest, sorry about this, that you iron this section first, because this is now classed as piping, and then pin it down before you attempt to stitch. I've decided I'm going to iron it for you, but before I iron it, this section here, I want you to now tuck it inside that, and then pin that down. But I'm now going to iron this so that it's a bit neater and get the distance. So I'm now going to just level it out right there, pin it, and then bring it over onto this. Over. Let me do that for you now. Before I stitch it up, look at that. That looks gorgeous. But this next step is one of the hardest thing to do. So I don't know if I'm going to stitch half of it on top, right, and say yes and go for the good side to be nice. Oh, and then stop, flip it over to show you the difference. And if anything, if you stitch the next stitch here, right, to stitch down, that will be hard, which is what some people do. If you stitch it here, stitch it, or stitch this on top here, then if this was the right side, then this would be the good side. So there's two ways of doing it, and I hope I've explained it to you. So you either attempt to stitch it all the way down, if we was to do it this way, and this becomes the right side of your garment. So you can stitch it or top stitch it, and then the other side will be untidy. Or you can stitch it on this side and the other side will be untidy. So there's two ways of doing it. You choose which way you prefer. I usually prefer this side, but let's see what happens. Oh yeah, I said I was going to iron it for you, didn't I? There we go. You must excuse my stitching started to play me up. So it started to skip stitch, so I've got to sort that out. But nevertheless, that's done for you. That's how it's done. Right, and I didn't do as what I was going to say because my machine was playing me up, but you can see the back side of it. Let's just turn this over. And I thought, okay, let me do a better presentation. So I took out that colour stitching because that was looking bad. So that's what it looks like at the back. So the other side is the better side. Yeah? Just that my machine's not working at the moment, so I've got to sort that machine out. That machine is for curtain, and that's the one I chose to use. This one is for garments, but as you can see all around it, I just use that one. So, and this is for heavy duty stuff. So I do apologise for the stitching. Got to sort it out. Thank you for watching. I hope that answers your question.